Gütedang Dashidele Shugyu. Your Holiness, I extend my warmest and deepest greeting and respect to you for this occasion. We are very honored to spend the morning with you, learning and speaking about our today's topic, Tibetan culture and its potential to contribute to peace. Thank you very much for joining us today. I would also like to thank our audience for being with us at this early time in the morning. Here in Germany, it is 5:30 a.m. right now. 50 Tibet supporters and Tibetans from Germany, Switzerland, Austria are with us at this occasion, and many more are watching worldwide on various digital platforms. My name is Tenzin Söchbauer, and I'm the Executive Director of Tibet-Initiative Deutschland, also known as TID. TID is the biggest German Tibet support group founded 32 years ago and dedicated to protect Tibetan culture and to raise awareness for the cause and fate of Tibetan people. As a Tibetan of mixed heritage and as a proud daughter of a Tibetan woman who has been an advocate for Tibet since I can remember, I feel especially blessed to moderate this very important topic and to host this event with you, Your Holiness. Your Holiness, I would like to request you now to please share with us your view and your opinion on how Tibetan culture can make a difference and contribute to a peaceful and mindful global society, especially in these current times. After your teaching, we will have some questions and we would be grateful to hear your answers. Thank you.
Okay. Now, indeed, I'm very happy. This is some discussions with some German friends. Since my childhood, German, something very close in my mind. I think one reason, German, First World War, Second World War, many countries, you see, jointly attack Germany. So I have some special sort of the feeling. Then, of course, the Mr. Abschnader and Henry Hara, in Tibet, usually we call these two persons German. So eventually, Abschnader, I have no personal special contact. But Hara is a very close friend of mine. My broken English, first let's start to learn from him. Later I noticed his own English very poor. So logically, the teacher himself, broken English, so me as a student of that kind of teacher, my English also very broken English. So then, since my young age, I know Deutschland. So now today, and then I really admire this German people. Say, First World War defeated by many other nations, including America. And the Second World War, also you see, with including America, you see, defeat Germany. So I have some kind of feeling. When I look map, German in Central Europe, small. Then America, very big. So I felt it seems to see First World War, Second World War, seems to see a little bit bully the one comparatively smaller country in Central Europe. So I have some special connection or feeling, Deutschland. So I'm very happy having this opportunity, some discussions. Then these two nations, Germany and Japanese, I think after World War, it's a real peace movement in both these countries, especially Japanese suffer nuclear bomb. So you see, these nations naturally, because too much suffering through war, you see, they are from deep heart, you see, want genuine peace, world peace. So both Deutschland and Japan certainly, you see, have great potential to make peaceful or contribution for peaceful world. So I'm very happy having this opportunity. So then here, the Tibetan culture and its potential to contribute to peace. Tibetan culture, actually, I think our own culture, more or less we are nomad, not much complicated. But the 7th century, the first king, Tibetan king, see, he married with Chinese princess. However, his mind very independent. You see, he want we Tibetan should have our own script. So not copy from Chinese script. Sometimes I jokingly telling, naturally, the 7th century King Songtsen Gampo, he enjoy, I think, Chinese wife and naturally Chinese food. But as far as the Chinese language letter is concerned, he found too complicated. So he decided we should create our own script or copy from Indian Devanagari and alphabet. It is quite wise. So since the 7th century, the first king, Songtsen Gampo, already was laid down creation of our own script. So then 8th century, the Tibetan king, Chisung Tesen, he wanted to establish Buddhism not through China, but directly from India. And at that time, the famous best sort of Buddhist institution in India was a Nalanda institution. So he invited almost top master of Nalanda, institution, Shanta Rakshita. When Shanta Rakshita reached Tibet, he noticed Tibetan, we have our own script. So instead of learning Pali or Sanskrit, you should translate all these important Buddhist texts in Sanskrit language or Pali language. So he emphasizes translation. Some scholar even mentioned to me the Shanta Rakshita himself, in spite of his age, he tried to learn Tibetan. So, because his advice, then through centuries, Tibetan the scholars or students learn some Sanskrit and some Pali and a translation. So altogether, about 100 volume, that's Buddha's own teaching. Then about 200 volumes, that is Indian masters also writing. So altogether, in our own language, more than 300 volumes in our own language, our own script. So that, I think, is the beginning of Tibetan unique cultural heritage develop. So we, the ancient Tibetan scholars, and including king, they judge Chinese scholar, Indian scholar. They found best thing is combine. So the mainly India, we usually use to describe Indian ancient time, truly our teacher, like that. So sometimes I jokingly telling, now modern time, it seems ancient Indian student, Indian chela of, Tibetan, now become guru. So in any way, we Tibetan, eventually we develop our own script, our own language, and all translations. So then eventually, Tibetan, before Buddhism reached, just a nomad. Now, eventually translate these things. Then Tibetan truly produce a lot of great practitioner or scholars. Since then, now today, I think as far as Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist logic, and Buddhist psychology, for these concerns, these subjects, we Tibetan have best knowledge. There are Buddhist, respected Buddhist brothers, sisters who follow Pali language. This is not much pay attention, the logic of these things. Even Chinese Buddhist, same, the so-called Nalanda tradition or Sanskrit tradition, but the Chinese as a Buddhist, respected Buddhist brothers, sisters, they not much pay attention for study, and especially Buddhist logic, pramana, they never pay attention. we Tibetan pay much attention. So now today, as far as Buddhism is concerned, our knowledge seems now more complete and best knowledge. And one unique thing is since we following Nalanda tradition, so we not just believe, investigate. So Buddha himself, you see, my student should not, just faith me, but you should study. Buddha himself, you see, emphasis study. So we Tibetan, through centuries, we really pay much attention, study. Although we also, you see, practice meditation, like Chinese Buddhist brothers, sisters. However, we much pay attention for study. Ours also the way to study. Firstly, root text learned by heart, including myself. From very young age, 6-7 year old, I already learned by heart some of these important texts in Tibetan language. Then I think one quite unique thing is we Tibetan, we develop the special technique, use logical approach like this. That I think quite unique. The Thai tradition, not much. And Chinese tradition also, you see, not using that. We call Chava Chasing. He introduced the way to carry debate is like this. So some scholar, when they carry debate, they really say much enthusiasm, and after debate, their palm feel little, the little pain. So now today, since I have lot of sort of connection, Buddhist scholars from different country, we Tibetan knowledge is much deeper, very, very thoroughly. We combine meditation, study, the Sanskrit, shamatha, vipassana, both jointly. So that is something quite unique. So now, Tibetan Buddhist tradition, since, you see, we not only practice compassion, warm-heartedness, but also, you see, use our brain extensively, logical approach. So now today, I feel with Tibetan tradition have great potential. To make a contribution regarding peaceful world. So our way, not just a faith, intellectually, thinking much. So through that way, we develop compassion, inner peace, and very easy to explain to other people through logical way. And also nowadays we try to make contribution as much as possible to create world peace through inner peace. Not faith. Faith, individual matter, individual business. But knowledge, study, these are common for all human beings. So, including non-believer, they also want peace of mind. So, all these trouble is because mentally much sort of disturbed. Then you see these problems happen. Basic human nature, I always was mentioning, we, like many other animals, from the beginning, you see, we grown by mother's affection. Without a mother's affection, child cannot survive. So that is the seed of compassion. Now, problem, when we start the education, so-called modern education, then not much pay attention about inner peace, these things, except those religious believer, faith, God, 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 like that. So now, in modern education field, how to develop peace of mind, because that is very necessary, even to healthy body, peace of mind, very important. Constant anger destroy eventually our physical health. So even without belief, religion, simply for health and peaceful community, as a Buddhist sort of way of approach, peace of mind, is something very relevant. So, whether believe religion or not, that's individual sort of business. But peace of mind is entire humanity need peace of mind. So, in that respect, certainly, you see, we can make certain contribution. In the last few decades, I also have sort of very close connection or discussion with modern scientists and how to develop peace of mind, how to tackle our anger, fear, suspicion, like that. So therefore, according Indian sort of tradition, secular, not religious, not sort of related with religious belief, without a belief, simply how to train peace of mind, like that. So I have some experience, including, as I mentioned earlier, including some scientists. Now more and more a scientist, profession as a scientist, but in deep insight they have some admiration about Buddhist or say logical approach, like that. I never try to propagate Buddhism, simply how much we can make contribution for peaceful world through inner peace. So here, Tibetan culture, I feel great potential. Now, without touching Buddhist belief, Buddhist religion, simply, you say, how to develop peace of mind, like that. So now some questions.
Thank you very much, Your Holiness, for your honest and important message to us. If you allow, we will now start the question part, and we are very grateful to have this opportunity. The first question is from Tashi Shitsang. She's the president of the Youth Association Europe and is located in Switzerland.
Kangrirawa korwishin kamso pendan dewa malu chungwene jeresi wan tenzi gyazoi shabusi te parto tengyurchik. Tashdele, Your Holiness, my question to you is, how can Tibetan youth in Tibet best preserve Tibetan culture and religion, especially under the Chinese occupation of Tibet? Thank you.
Now, at the beginning, when Chinese occupied Tibet, it's something different. At that time, the Chinese leaders, they have their own very strong ideology. They consider religion is opium. When I met my last meeting with Chairman Mao Zedong, Chairman Mao Zedong, he told me, your mind is very scientific minded, and then religion is opium. Chairman Mao Zedong himself told me, he believed that. So that kind of thinking in China now must change. Now today, more and more Chinese is showing interest about religion, Dharma, particularly Tibetan Buddhist tradition. So, some my friend, Tibetan scholar, who carry some sort of teachers' work in China, he noticed, say, number of Chinese scholars, after seeing some of publication which published from here, and eventually translation also, Chinese translation also there, when they saw that, then Tibetan Buddhist tradition is only, is really the Nalanda tradition and also very scientific religion. It is true. It is very true. Our tradition not based on faith, but through reasoning, So, some Tibetan scholar who were working in Tibet, you see, they have the impression politically China control us, but spiritually we can help them. It is, I feel, quite true. Now, Buddhist population in China much increasing, like that. So in any way, one way, Marxism failed. China, traditionally Buddhist country. So therefore, now more and more Chinese intellectual and including youth pay more attention about Buddhist tradition, which Tibetan culture, Tibetan Buddhist culture, like that. So now things are changing. So in any way, the Chinese communists, see, they utilize their maximum pressure regarding Tibetan Buddhism, completely failed. So now obviously Buddhism, particularly Tibetan Buddhism, now not only in Asia, but also in West and different country, including some scientists now really showing interest about Tibetan Buddhist tradition, like that. So the important is Tibetan youth. Firstly, when we came in India, I asked Indian Prime Minister, Mr. Nehru, since we have our own language, and in that language is a many also the unique subject, so we should have Tibetan school and study Tibetan language, and Pandit Nehru fully support like that. So now today, with Tibetan youth, young people, young Tibetan, they have the opportunity to study. Then eventually, we re-establish Tibetan traditional top, how to say, Buddhist college or something. Sometimes we call Buddhist university. So these, since 59, many monk scholar escaped. So these use these sources. So we re-establish those as a Buddhist monastic Buddhist also the tradition re-established now in India. So at least now a few thousand Tibetan monk students who carry continuously. And then some Mongolian also join in these monastic college study. And now some Chinese also. So therefore, the young Tibetan now firstly should learn Tibetan, and then we already have some different institution of Tibetan, so can study Buddhist logic or Buddhist, or say the philosophy, these things. So that's the way we preserving our traditional, our rich knowledge. So now already some younger Tibetan who born here, who study Tibetan, then eventually you see join some of our institution, now become a scholar already. So that's proper way to preserve not only older generation, but younger generation through study, like that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You already mentioned it shortly, but maybe we can have a closer look to this topic. The second question focuses on the preservation of the Tibetan language and is asked in Tibetan by Lobsang Dache from the Tibetan community in Germany.
공사 장군은 간통 주주와 전부 주고 같이 가지르니 가지르버터 땡지르지 쇼파타시 되었어요. 장군은 뭐지 조금 담당 유튜브 강스르니 비 보바치 전능 거머르 지마처럼 보지 개땅 이게 제트른 전총사기 버 과소단 던지기 나오셔. 그지지.
We try wherever Tibetan or settle. You see, we try some facility for study Tibetan language. One time, I noticed, you see, in America, I think Tom Pisker, his friend, one, you see, lady, she told me, the very purpose of accepting a Tibetan refugee group near in their area, not only helping those small refugee community, but we very, very eager to learn from Tibetan tradition. It is quite true. Now many places is where Tibetan refugee community remain, many people eventually they really also they appreciate Tibetan Buddhist culture and Tibetan way of life, very peaceful. If some necessary to fight, then we also quite bold. In 19, I think 19, in early 50s, and then later, of course, 59, we Tibetan, really, number of Tibetan become very heroic, like that. But meantime, you see, our culture, really peaceful culture. Now many people now realize that. So now, younger generation, Tibetan, firstly, we already introduced study Tibetan, our own school, as I mentioned earlier. Then, after finishing school, or these sort of study Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist logic, now not only lay people, not only monk, now even lay people, you see, and including nuns, should study. So now already, you see, among Tibetan refugee community, number of also the young boys and girls and monks, nuns, and also I appeal whole Himalayan range, those Buddhist monastery should pay more attention for study. Now in India, we have several sort of institutions where we can study and carry debate. So we quite well preserve. Now not only monastery monks, but also lay people, and including female, like that. So, Tibetan culture, also Tibetan language, I think Tibetan language now seems in order to explain those sophisticated Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist logic, now best language is Tibetan language. It is quite clear, according to my own sort of experience. So therefore, see people who showing interest about Buddhist logic, Buddhist philosophy, then automatically have to pay more attention for Tibetan language. So now we should not consider religion is something prayer, something meditation. Not only that, even non-believer, the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, very helpful, very useful. For that study, very important. Okay.
Thank you. The next question is from Dr. Roloff. She's a Buddhist teacher.
Good morning, Your Holiness. In 1973 already, you spoke about universal responsibility. Your Holiness, my question is, does the promotion of a culture of peace go beyond traditional Buddhist practice?
Now, as I already mentioned, secular way and without religion. So my main approach is secular way, including, as I mentioned earlier, including animal. They want peace. So we are not talking about next life or heaven, simply how to build happy community, happy society. And now everywhere we express world peace, world peace. Now for that, we really can develop genuine world peace through inner peace, without religion. So, now I always use the emphasis, the peace of mind. Only that, not religion. Not thinking about next life, but this very life, peace of mind, for health reason, for happy family, for happy community, peace of mind is key thing. So, my one commitment is promotion of human compassion, not thinking religion, like that. Okay.
Well, I wonder whether Buddhists should also engage for peace or not.
I already. Next question now.
Okay. The next question is from Dr. Stanze, former German ambassador of China and a member of our advisory board of the Tibetinitiative Deutschland. We can't hear you. Please unmute yourself.
Your Holiness, thank you very much for this opportunity. My question concerns recent Chinese efforts to absorb so-called minority cultures into the majority Han culture, which may well succeed underpinned by economic growth. So my question is, how can Tibetan Buddhism, the religion again, survive or even flourish in an environment where maybe there is no basis in Tibetan culture anymore? Thank you.
As I already mentioned, Tibetan, one important aspect of Tibetan culture or Tibetan tradition is Buddhist knowledge through logical approach. So that now more and more basically non-believer really showing interest. So now China as well. And after all, China, historically Buddhist country. So now China, revival Buddhist faith. With that, Buddhist knowledge, philosophy, Buddhist knowledge, something very, very scientific way. So more and more people now showing whether they believe Buddhist faith, a next life or heaven. This is different question, but simply how to analyze things, such as quantum physics This is not religion, but quantum physics is really showing some of the Buddhist concept, very similar. When we analyze things not objectively, independently exist. So these are simply our knowledge. So for that reason, you see, as far as Buddhist logic, Buddhist philosophy is concerned, Tibetan kept best, more complete, as I mentioned earlier. So naturally, more and more people who showing interest about Buddhism, Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist logic, then naturally they have to pay more attention about Tibetan knowledge, like that. Okay.
The consecutive question is addressed to you by Mr. Michael Brandt, a member of the German Parliament.
The CCP's aggression and expansion without and outside of China is increasing steadily. Your Holiness, what do you recommend to us when we are dealing with China politically?
This is where the marwa. Other day. Now, there's quite a complicated question. It depends on many factors. And anyway, China, no matter how powerful, how great country, but still part of the world. So have to live peacefully with other nations. Firstly, with India. And neither India or China cannot destroy other. India and China have to live side by side. Similarly, even you see Taiwan, see politically a lot of complication, but you see Chinese culture, 1,000-year-old culture. So like Taiwan, still the pure Chinese cultural heritage still kept there. So the political system can change, can destroy. But Chinese cultural heritage, 1,000-year-old cultural heritage, is cannot destroy, and no use to destroy. So therefore, China politically is sometimes, I may say, quite short-sighted sort of political sort of interest. But long run, you see China, you have to live side by side with neighbor countries, India, Japan, Korea, Vietnam, Burma, so on, like that. So now things are changing. Humanity's way of thinking, I think early part of this century and previous century and today, much change, much different. People more open-minded, more realistic approach. Previously, you see, my nation, my community, small. Now today, the international level thinking. So things are changing. Okay.
Bernd Fertig is the speaker of our regional group in Würzburg. He has following question for you.
Your Holiness, my question is, how can we motivate society to support our strong commitment so that the issue of Tibet will get worldwide attention again? Thank you.
I feel more people, particularly educated, more deeper thinking people, showing interest about the Tibetan culture, our knowledge. And then automatically, you see, some sort of enthusiasm to preserve this rich knowledge, useful knowledge. That's I feel. As I already mentioned, some scientists, they are not religious people. They are not pro-Tibetan. But when they knows Tibetan, part of Tibetan knowledge about the human mind, about human emotion, then they automatically showing interest. So then such people, when they feel destruction, Tibetan culture, including that kind of culture, then naturally you see people showing more concern. Like that. Okay.
Thank you.
The next question will be asked by Andreas Hilmer, a German journalist.
Your Holiness, these days everyone can produce their own reality on the internet, and even everyone can spread fake news. What can be done so people will have the access to truth, to truthful information in subjects like climate change or the coronavirus? The truth will prevail. What is your opinion to that? Thank you very much.
Now, I don't think in previous time, when people remain a little bit isolated, then some concerned people, false information, you see, easily can spread. Now today, this is the source of information, including as a personal, Kasa. Mobile phone. So now, today, you see, the information, source of information, not controlled by one people, one company like that, all over the world. You see, information very easy. So, so therefore, I think the people paying more sort of close watch than the wrong information, you see, easily can, you see, can fail like that. So now the weather condition, the global weather changing, global warming. Now that's beyond our control, and is quite a nature process now changing. So some scientists, within next few decades, global warming reach such a level, then all these waters, these certainly affect. Now, for example, Tibet, a big river originally come from Tibet. Now, within my own lifetime, you see those big river gradually reduce. So now, due to global warming, eventually Tibet can be like what's it, Kasa, Afghanistan, desert, very possible. So now that is something very serious matter beyond our control. The small way we have to pay more attention for more, forest, more village, like more ecology, like that. It is quite serious matter, Yes?
Dr. Franz Alt, with whom you already have published 2 books, has the next question for you.
Okay, now.
Yeah.
Now we already notice, the northern world, southern world, these big sort of snow land now very rapidly now melting. So then including like Tibet, those river already I mentioned now gradually reducing. That's quite a serious matter. So now China, India, I think now I feel at least China, now leaders of China thinking more realistic way, not just we, not like that. So I don't think much problem. This global level problem, now whole world have the responsibility and mutual responsibility. So I feel not like previous century. Previous century, my nation, my power. Now today's world, not like that. So things are changing, I feel. That's my view. Next.
The next question is from Tenzin Chuni Naksang from Bad Münster, Eifel, and he has a special question for you, Your Holiness.
My question is, the city and region where I come from were affected very badly in recent floods in Germany. How can we give hope to people who lost everything in the floods, including loved ones? Thank you.
Yes, I notice, the world and some part too hot, burning, lot of fire, and some area, lot of water. So now, the only thing is when those people who suffer due to these things, we should try to show them we also have serious sort of concern about your well-being. Then you see these people get the feeling we are not isolated. There are human brothers, sisters who really helping us, showing their concern for our fate. So again, important is the oneness of 7 billion human beings. Each find some difficulties. Everyone, you see, show it also the sympathy or concern. That's important. Okay.
Thank you. Our member Birgit Knorre has like to ask you following question.
Tashidele, Your Holiness, my question is, how can Tibetan culture survive when a modern education system no longer teaches it?
Now, today's education, as I already mentioned, we should include about education how to bring peace of mind, how to control anger, how to develop compassion, or also the altruism. So these are the subjects. When we pay more attention about these subjects, then best source of these things in Tibetan, also the Tibetan culture. So not necessary for study Tibetan knowledge, but this subject which thoroughly explained in Tibetan language, in Tibetan sort of culture, and the essence, the meaning we should take, not as a Tibetan culture. Okay.
Helmut Steckel is a longtime Tibet supporter, and he has a particular climate question for you. He will ask his question in German. You have to unmute yourself.
Helmut, du musst bitte dein Mikro einschalten und deine Frage stellen. Ja, nach dem sehr bedeutenden aktuellen Weltklimabericht des Weltklimarats der Vereinten Nationen möchte ich die Frage stellen, wie kann die tibetische Kultur dazu beitragen, unser Engagement für den Umweltschutz zu fördern und den Klimawandel zu bekämpfen?
No, a particular sort of also the knowledge about the global kasa namshi kasa global climate, these things, no particular thing from Tibetan knowledge, but the since we very much emphasis on well-being of entire sentient being on this planet, particularly human being. So with that connection, you see, any sort of matter which related with human well-being, then automatically, you see, also develop interest or concern. No particular sort of thing about global warning, these things in Tibetan culture, no particular thing. Okay.
We have time for 2 more questions. Philipp Rumsch is the representative of our youngest regional group located in Leipzig. Please, Philip, ask your question to His Holiness.
Tashidile, Your Holiness, how can young German supporters like myself best help the Tibetan people in the preservation of their religion and their culture? Thank you.
Now here, simply, you see, a sense of concern and try to preserve as a Tibetan culture. This is one way. One thing, those subjects like emotion, like peace of mind, like you say, altruism, when we develop these things and how to develop peace of mind, these things, then also the best source of this knowledge is Tibetan. So through that way, you see, interest about Tibetan culture, not something Tibetan culture separately. When we know about emotion, about peace of mind, these things, then the best source of these things are Tibetan knowledge. So, not preservation of Tibetan culture, no, preservation of our peace of mind, and for that to know what emotion destroy peace of mind. So that subject, and then best source of these matter, Tibetan language is best. Okay.
Thank you. We have one more question from Tenzin Yishi. He is also part of the Tibetan Youth Association from Germany.
Your Holiness, my question is, do you believe that changing the culture over the time is essential? Or do you think that the traditional culture should not be altered at all? What is your thought on that? Thank you.
Now, cultural heritage, it is wrong. Which subject, something useful for humanity, for a particular group, and then worthwhile. Not in the way we love our culture, we must preserve. Not that way. You see, certain things which we need in order to carry a happy world, peaceful community, then this is some information about how to keep peace of mind. These, then automatically more information come from available only in Tibetan culture or Tibetan language. That way, not just language or culture, we love culture, not that way. Something useful. So the best source of these things, then only Tibetan culture. Okay.
Thank you very much, Your Holiness, for spending your morning with us and sharing your inspiring and motivated message to this topic with the world. I would also like to thank everybody who made this event possible and the translator who simultaneously translated this topic into 14 languages. Kiawa Rinpoche, we wish and pray for your long life in health and happiness. We need you to achieve world peace for the sake of all, especially for Tibetans inside Tibet. May truth prevail for Tibet, and may Your Holiness return to Tibet very soon. Allow me now to pass on the word to our chairman, Wolfgang Grader, for the final words. Thank you.
His Holiness, dear Dalai Lama, thank you for the wonderful morning time and for the exchange of ideas. It is always a great honor for me and for us to be with you. We have known each other for many years. We last met at a great event in Darmstadt in 2018. You discussed with the Nobel Peace Prize winners about a peaceful world order and a contribution for Tibet. Since then, it was not possible for me to visit you in Dharamsala due to the corona pandemic. Therefore, I'm so pleased that this conversation organized by Tibet Initiative Deutschland could take place. Many thanks to all Tibet friends and Tibet supporters for the good questions and for being here in the morning time. And thank you, Your Holiness, for giving us so much time. I wish you a lot of strength, health, and a long life. And for our friends in Tibet, let us continue to work in the future for Tibet, for human rights, and for peace in the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you again. Okay. Thank you. Okay.